What makes the greats great? What makes the successful successful? What makes the brilliant brilliant? Our Tuesday meetups with the celebrities of pharma industry and science are your one-stop shop to all these answers and more. Join us for Pies of Life, an initiative of the Biopatrika Industry Mentorship Program, where we bring your dream mentors to you.
Okay, so let me quickly introduce you to Subodh, and then I'll hand it over to Charu to tell us a little bit about the program of mentorship program that she and her team is putting together. So Subodh and I met maybe 2 Sundays ago in the Bangalore Literature Festival, which I was happy to participate. He talked to me about the book that I've written, and he asked really interesting questions, and we'll talk about that a little bit later if there's time. But more importantly, when I met Subodh, I think we hit it off quite well. Subodh, we had very
Absolutely
common things that we were interested in. I thought what a wonderful opportunity to introduce everyone to you and you to everyone. So a couple of key points for Subodh, and you can actually talk about yourself a little bit later. But what I was really impressed about is he's an engineering, and then somewhere along the way decided to have a bookstore. Right? He'll tell you that story. And not just any bookstore, like an amazing bookstore in Bangalore. So those of you in Bangalore have gone to Atta Galatta, you'll see it. It's a mind-blowing bookstore, right? With a space and all kinds of weird stuff. He'll tell you about that. And if that wasn't enough, he was the founder of Bangalore, one of the founders of Bangalore Literature Festival. So like amazing stuff, right? So we'd love to hear about your journey. But before that, Subodh, let me ask Charu to tell you also and others about a little bit of a mentorship program that we are putting together and why we do this in the first place.
Sure.
Charu, over to you.
Thank you, Naren. Very warm welcome, Subodh. It's really exciting to have you as a guest over and obviously to know your story. Naren has told us so much about you. We're excited. Very quickly, I will tell you a little bit about the mentorship program. So what we are doing today is also part of it. What we're doing is we're getting together. Naren usually forms this group every Tuesday with participants from India or associated somewhere. And he's slowly transitioning all of that, and we're very grateful for it, to Biopatrika. Now, Biopatrika is an online science communication, and we have various aspects here. So we have print articles, we have career tales, we have scientific infographics, we have podcasts, we have job postings, we have n number of resources, and all of these are not just aimed at scientists or people who are associated or interested in science. They're basically an approach to the non-scientist. Everybody in every walk of life can basically pick up any of our articles and get an overview on things. And so as part of this science communication, we recognize that when academicians want to move to industry, it becomes really difficult. It's a completely new world. It's something that we don't have any idea about. And it's probably similar to something that you did as an engineer. You said, I drop all of this and I open a bookstore. So that's the kind of transition that we want to make easier on people. And that's why we're starting BIMP, which is the Biopatrika Industry Mentorship Program. And we bring together people in the industry who've been there for about 1 to 5 years, and also very senior people like Naren. And then we have mentees who can be PhDs, master's students, or maybe early career postdocs who want to move into the industry. We've formulated a little bit of a module, and so we use a lot of the tests that Naren has developed. It is something that we want to do. We're going to streamline it. So this is a network that we're creating for life. It's a lifelong association. It's an interaction. It's not something where, you'll say that, oh, I want a job, and then we bring a job to you and give it to you on a platter. So it's going to be something which is forever. It's growth, it's development, it's It's going to be a network. It's going to provide you all of the tools to get your job. And I think that's more important, because as the saying goes, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for one day, but if you teach him to fish, he'll eat all his life. So that's BIMP.
Thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Chirmule. I think you've done two things here at one sweep. One is, I think you've thrown me into the deep end. And the second thing is, I think you might have said a little bit of a cat among the pigeons. And I think you've done both with one sweep. So I thank you for this opportunity. It was wonderful meeting you last weekend or the weekend before last at the Bangalore Literature Festival, and gave me an opportunity to sort of quench my own scientific curiosity. I'm an engineer. I still think of myself as an engineer, though I have not done anything related to engineering in a very, very long time. And except I think as an engineer, you have this deep scientific curiosity, which remains, I think, one of the fundamental sort of things that I try to pursue in my life. So thank you for this. Is this the time to sort of talk about, who I am?
Yes. Yes.
Charu? Yeah, so I'm going to go back and rehash the story that I told Dr. Chirmule. I'm an engineer. I think of myself as an engineer. I studied engineering. I have a master's degree in engineering, in structural engineering, actually. And I think very quickly after my master's degree, the people that I worked for found out that I was better at talking than I was at engineering. So yeah, so my journey started as an engineer in structural engineering. I have a deep fundamental love for everything that is physics and engineering. And I started my life as an engineer, like I said, in structural engineering. And this was in the United States back in the early 90s. And I worked in the field of engineering. That's not the interesting part. But in 1997, I decided to move back to India. And I moved back to India on, not necessarily the most fundamental thoughts of life. My life journey has been one of many paths that has led to where I am today. But what it has offered me is millions of learning opportunities, which I have grabbed onto rather greedily. So I moved back to India in late 1997. And at that time, the whole tech boom was happening in India. And I moved back to India, and with the sort of confidence of a young 20-something-year-old saying, fundamental principles are fundamental principles, and I can sort of engineer anything from fundamental principles. And I got into the world of information technology. In 1998, we had basically designed some of the world's first speech recognition and speech synthesis technologies. And so, yes, we had this startup that was based out of this little town in Tamil Nadu called Coimbatore, and with an engineering office there and another engineering office in Chennai, where we built some of the world's first speech recognition and speech synthesis technologies. We worked with people from IIT Chennai, or at that time it was called IIT Madras, and we built some of the world's first speech platforms that was based on our speech synthesis and speech recognition technologies. That was the beginning of my career in the world of information technology. I basically built that technology. We were funded, we were awarded and all of that, but I didn't know how to take it into a business. But I managed to sell that technology to Philips Speech Processing in the year 2000, which is when I moved to Bangalore. I live in Bangalore. I've been living in Bangalore since the year 2000. And in the year 2000, a group of us that had known each other through this sort of initial world of IT that was happening in Bangalore, built a company that basically built some of the world's first technologies for mobile data services. Some of the old wallpapers and ringtones and things like that to your phone, uh, these were in smartphones. We built some of those technologies that most of the leading telecom carriers in the world used to deliver those services. And I did that for about 10 or 12 years. And basically, at that point, I decided that, I didn't want to work in the world of technology anymore. So in the year 2012, my wife and I started a bookstore called Atta Galatta. This is in Koramangala in Bangalore. And we built this place called Atta Galatta. It was an old-fashioned brick and mortar bookstore where we continue to operate that. It's a bookstore that sells only Indian writing. It's a bookstore where we welcome people to come and loiter, read the books off our shelves, hang out, talk to us. And the last almost 9 years has been spent in conversation with many, many interesting people. It's given us the opportunity to meet with many, many interesting people, and including people like Dr. Chirmule, who I hope to have continuing conversations with over the next few, years. So that's sort of a brief story of where I am. I think one of the things that I've been fortunate with is, uh, you know, I've not had a personal dogma in my life. So it's sort of allowed me to follow paths wherever I see them. It's allowed me to sort of meander and yet find meaning. And I think in my life, my greatest achievement so far has been to find meaning not just in what I've done, but in having met interesting people and having shared their lives and having learned from it. And as scientists and engineers, I think that is a fundamental training that has, stood me in good stead, because as an engineer, you have this curiosity that allows you to listen and sort of share, the journey with other people and sort of learn from it. So yeah, so I consider myself very fortunate for having that scientific bent of mind, which has given me this innate curiosity to sort of learn from people that I have met in this sort of crazy journey that I've had.
Yeah, awesome. I think this up and down of journey is fantastic. So maybe I'll just open it up for questions then. Let's see what questions we have, and then we can see where we go.
Yeah, I'm very excited to start. Thank you so much, Subodh. That sounded really interesting. The name of your bookstore is quite unique. I wanted to know, like, does it mean something, or how did you come up with it?
Hey, boss, you've just thrown me a ball which I can hit for a six. No. Sorry, Charu. But Atta Galatta, it's a two-part word. Atta is a Kannada word that means play. So
Okay.
the word Atta in Kannada could be, two kids playing football is Atta. And it's truly the word play, right? A theater performance is art. Sort of demystify this world of literature. Uh, I think the world of literature has for long been held in a certain uh, sense of stature, right? But we wanted to kind of demystify it and reduce the distance between the reader and the writer. So we thought the word "arta," which means play, kind of
Yeah.
signifies that. And Galata, if you sort of take away the bad connotations of the word Galata, could mean rambunctious fun. So Atta Galata is a space for sort of fun and games. fact that, the name sort of demystified the world of literature and reduced the distance between a writer and her readers.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. That sounds like a representation of what your bookstore is all about.
It is, right? Because truly, more than a bookstore, Bangalore has some fantastic bookstores. Blossom's probably the best bookstore in the country, if I may say so, right? Just in terms of the sheer catalog and volume of books they carry and their ability to tell you, you go and say, I want to find a copy of X. They tell you, what, go down the fourth aisle and look up to the fifth level of the bookstore and you'll find it, right? Or, sort of Bookworm for its collection of rare books and, hard to find books. Bangalore is privileged in terms of the number of bookstores we have. We're a world-class town when it comes to the quality of our bookstores. And there was no way we were going to match it, right? How do you match your heroes? I still think Blossom and Bookworm are like my heroes in terms of bookstores. For us, it was about creating a space where it's not about books on a shelf. It was about a space where people with a literary bent of mind could come and interact with others of their kin. So our bookstore specializes in being a space where you can come and meet others of your kin. And we weren't trying to even compete with the best bookstores in the country in terms of what they do best. So for us, it was about creating that space, and therefore for us, it was about demystifying books and literature.
Yep.
So for us, it was about creating that reach and putting everybody on the same level, and sort of being informal and irreverent. And I think therefore the name kind of fit in, and we gave ourselves an extra pat on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite a clever wordplay.
Yeah, Surekha, go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for telling us your story. My question for you is, weren't you scared when you made that sudden transition? Hello?
Hey, can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. My question was, weren't you scared when you suddenly made that transition?
Human beings aren't we scared every day? I'm not trying to sound flippant here, but and I must say that, yeah, yeah, I'm trying to sound, like I was, my wife's idea. Lakshmi's always been a book lover. She's always dreamt of owning a bookstore, like most people that love books. And when you have that strength, of collectively doing something, then I think it's a good way to face those fears. So, I'm still afraid. and I'm still afraid on a daily basis on everything that we attempt to do, right? Because there's a little bit of an experiment in everything that we do on a daily basis. When we do the Bangalore Literature Festival that we had last week, in hindsight, it was a grand success. But we'd be afraid that, listen, the authors that we're calling, are they going to accept our invitation and come to the festival? Oh, great, we're putting together this festival. Are the Bangalore audience is going to come up and show up for the festival? Oh, great, they've showed up for the festival. Now we're going to put it up on YouTube. Are enough people going to come and watch it on YouTube? There's fears on a daily basis because you have these expectations.
Yeah. Yeah, Reshma, I think.
I'm not by any means trying to sound flippant.
I get it.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
I think Reshma has a question.
Yeah. Hello, sir. This is Reshma.
Please don't call me sir. Sir is my father.
Yeah.
My name is Subodh.
Yeah. Hi, Subodh. This is Reshma. Currently,
Hi.
I'm pursuing my PhD from Tata Memorial Hospital. And I have two questions that after being a successful in speech technology and suddenly a transition to a bookstore. So now even the bookstore story is kind of a successful thing. So I would like to know what was the experience of your early days. Just you have transited, and the earlier few days, how was the experience with the bookstore, and what failures or what advantages you faced, and how did you overcome those failures? Did you got my question? Hello?
I think when you, yes, I did. Absolutely,
Yeah,
Reshma.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, Reshma, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, Subbu.
No, and you're absolutely, yeah, absolutely right, right? So in the initial days, like I said, so one thing we've been true to, and I'm kind of proud of that, is from the day we started, we wanted to be not just a bookstore with books on a shelf, but a space for people of an artistic and a literary bent of mind to kind of get together. So think of the bookstore. We always thought of the bookstore as the anchor, something that would always be there. But that's the brick and mortar that Lakshmi and I could create. We always believed that the soul for what we would do would come from the people coming and participating in how we thought it should be done. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we would from the day we started, and we started honestly. We started on the 1st of April 2012. So honestly, when we went out and told people on the 1st of April we're starting this bookstore, a lot of people thought it was an April Fool's joke, right? Now, I mean, notwithstanding that, from day one, we've been trying to sort of get people to come and use the space. And, I mean, it's difficult because our own thoughts were in a sense of abstraction. The concept was a slightly abstract concept. And one thing we were very clear is from day one, I'm not going to fill it up with, friends and family. It's not like I'm going to call friends and family and say, you know what, Saturday evening, I'm fit. And I'll give you some sort of, in hindsight, what are funny examples, right? I mean, this is supposed to be a place for art and literature. I don't know how many of you are you from Bangalore, and how many of you read Kannada literature. But there's this really well-known author called Pratibha Nandakumar. Pratibha Nandakumar is sort of one of those avant-garde. At her time, she was considered the enfant terrible of Kannada literature, hugely respected, hugely awarded. And there was this evening when we said, today is an evening of uh, an open house. Come and ask Pratibha Nandakumar anything about her work. What drives her, what makes her write. And she had a reputation of being a fairly fearsome person. And we had a grand, she was so upset, she almost felt insulted as a writer that, a person of her stature was coming to this bookstore for like, after a lot of convincing to come and open up for like an ask me anything evening. And she had one person in the audience. Now, all credit to her. She spent an hour with that one person, right? And because we refused to fill up that space with friends and family. Now, today, Pratibha Nandakumar and I are, I think share a special relationship, because after she was initially angry that there was nobody that showed up, And, after I spent the next few days kind of trying to explain to her why we didn't fill the space with friends and family, as an artist, she understood what we were trying to do. And from that point onwards, she sort of wholeheartedly came on board in terms of supporting this experiment. Or for that matter, somebody like a Shiny Anthony, who at that time had just won the sort of DSE Commonwealth Prize for fiction writing. And, we had an evening with Shiny Anthony, and not even that one person showed up. There were 0 people that showed up, right? And Shiny Anthony, who's now the director of the Bangalore Literature Festival, and, we like sort of run the Bangalore Festival together. After that initial disappointment, which shows up as sort of upset with you, understand. So I think in a scientific experiment, and you're all scientists, you all come from a scientific background. Scientific experiments fail all the time. But when the people involved in an experiment are made to understand the sort of framework of why the experiment was done, I think anybody with that temper tends to sort of understand. So
Yeah. So Subodh, I think
but we don't feel so because experiment is quite.
Subodh, your voice is breaking up a little bit. Can you hear us? Can rest of you hear me?
Should I just yeah, let me just move to a different place. Just give me
Yeah.
Is this better? My signals now shows full signal.
Yeah. Let's go with Raji. She has a question, I think.
I'm sorry if there was a long rambling answer. Huh?
No, perfect. Okay. Lovely. Raji, go ahead. Raji, can you hear us? Maybe while we wait for Raji, are there other questions? I think she's connecting to audio. Arghya?
Yes, sir. So first of all, Subodh, appreciate a lot. Like I am a PhD student from IIT Bombay, and I came in contact with these few profs. They are basically have their origin roots from Banaras. Okay, and they had this session called as Madhusala. Okay, so where all the poets and literatures and scholars used to come, and nobody will means I can see their personality. Like when they are working in lab, they are scientists. Okay, and at the backhand side, they only speak with poems, small, what we call it as charas, and they will always motivate you, signal you. So like when we are in academic institute, these kind of things are there, but when we go out, we miss these things all. I think this platform, what bookstore you have opened, maybe filling that void and will be the actual transition. And sometimes like as a researcher, you also need a place that you can work out from this domain and you can enjoy the other side of the world too. These poems and musics and this kind of literature things help you to connect your soul and also rejuvenate it. And I wish all the best for your future success in that whatever you have started. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Arghya, and you're absolutely right. Huh? So I think I mean, just to share one of my experiences. So maybe about 3 or 4 years after we started Atta Galatta, maybe around the year 2015 or 2016, there was a group of Hindi and Urdu poets that started getting together. And these all people who are either, who were either at that point in time just starting on their sort of professional careers, but a large number of those people were also, PhD scholars and people continuing in their education. And this was a group of Hindi and Urdu poets called Anjuman, and they would meet at Atta Galatta. And in the year 2018, we basically said, you know what, we were actually so inspired by some of these people that we actually published our first book from Atta Galatta. It was called Karna Kavita, and it was a book of Hindi poetry where we had 30 Bangalore-based Hindi poets that contributed to this anthology. And out of the 30, maybe 15 were in various sort of stages of their education. I think there's a deep connection between various creative fields. If you're in the field of creation, as a PhD scholar, you are deeply in the creative field. And there are facets to your creative field that sort of manifest itself in other ways, like poetry and literature. And I've had the pleasure and the personal privilege of having met people in Bangalore who, like yourself, were in various stages of their scientific and other creative pursuits, who've also had their other facets. And you're so right. So thank you for bringing that up. It gave me a chance to talk about our sort of first sort of publishing journey.
Yeah. Raji, you're up.
Yeah. Hi, Subodh. This is Rajeshri. Currently, I'm in Bangalore working with one startup. So I don't have any specific question as such, but I just want to know your opinion about audio books which are there coming up. And in this new era of this audiobooks, do you think that there is a need to cultivate the habit of reading in the youth of India? What are your thoughts about it?
My thoughts are simple. Whether it's an audio book, you're consuming a video of what was originally written as a book. I don't know. I'm going to watch Decouple because it was written by Manu Joseph, who's a fantastic writer. I mean, dogma in anything we do is my opinion in life. Once you've freed up the vistas that were otherwise not a paper book, whether it's an audio book, whether it's a podcast, whether it is listening to a storyteller read out from a book, they're all forms in which we consume content. And I think the dogma about a book being superior to your grandmother telling stories, or whether it's an audio book is an inferior form of consuming content, in my opinion, is all dogma. I think some people love the flavor of touching a book and smelling its pages. Others love reading on their Kindle. I mean, in the end, why should one subscribe to a particular dogma? So long as you're able to interact with. It doesn't matter in which way you engage with the content. It's all about engaging with content and becoming as a reader, becoming the better for having consumed that content. So I think the rest is just dogma.
Does anyone have any other question? I have one question though, but
I mean, I am.
So maybe I'll ask you the question while others can raise their hand if they have any. So maybe Subodh, maybe you can talk a little bit about the Bangalore Literature Festival, how it started and how it was conceived, and yeah, maybe something about that.
Sure. So the Bangalore Literature Festival, and this is going to be a plug, right? So the Bangalore Literature Festival is probably, in terms of the number of people that attend, the second biggest festival of the country. The Literature Festival is by far the biggest in the country. The Bangalore Literature Festival is that this is run by a small group of people who are volunteers. I am part of the team that runs the Bangalore Literature Festival. I can't claim credit to be part of the original founders. The original founders were actually two people, Sri Krishna Ramurthy and Vikram Sampath. A lot of you might have heard of Vikram Sampath, who's a really well-known and popular historian nowadays. And they were friends in their days. Sort of love culture and led them to kind of think of why not we do something for writing as well. The best part about the Bangalore Literature Festival is it is a citizen-funded festival. There is not 1 rupee of corporate funding that comes to the festival, and therefore there is no necessity or pressure for either supporting or following an agenda. So as it's a festival which is funded by the generous people of Bangalore who open up their wallets and fund the festival to the tune of whatever they're comfortable with. We have people come and give us 25,000 rupees. There are people who write generous checks in terms of, lakhs of rupees and tens of lakhs of rupees. But the Bangalore Literature Festival is a citizen-funded festival, and in terms of the number of people that attend, it's probably the second largest festival in this in the country. This year was our 10th edition, and every year we try and bring the best of Indian writing to the citizens of Bangalore who support us so wholeheartedly. It is a festival which is put together by a small group of maybe about 4 or 5 of us that work on the festival. And it is probably the most intensely rewarding experience that we have in our lives. It is intense. It takes us about 3 months to kind of conceptualize, put together a list of people that we'd like to invite, get them to come, raise the funds, and actually have the festival. And it is probably the most intensely rewarding 3 months that I do every year. It's I would recommend, and more importantly, the kind of ideas and thoughts that one can listen to and sort of learn from in these festivals. Granted, you'd have to sort of filter out the good from the not so good, but it is really a forum where one can really sort of advance one's thinking and learning from people who are vastly far more experienced than us on what they do.
Thank you. Anyone else has any immediate questions? You can raise your hand or just unmute and ask. All right. Yeah, I see Biham.
Yeah, hi Subodh. It was great hearing from you, and I'm definitely going to visit your bookstore soon. I live in Bangalore near Electronic City. I'm working in Sinjin at the moment. It will be very interesting to come and drop by. But what I wanted to ask is, being in this field of books, who is your favorite author at the moment? Like the contemporary people who are writing, like I mean, maybe somebody from South India, like Kannada, Tamil, or somebody at a national level in India, and maybe also somebody at international level, like globally. What is it, a genre that you're reading currently, and what would you like us to recommend in this domain?
It's like choosing from your children, right? You don't have a favorite child.
I like that comparison.
I mean, if you like to read, you like to read.
True.
You like to read, you like to read. And I read a lot. I had the privilege of reading Dr. Chirmule's book, and it was a conversation where I had a chance to read about how vaccine development was done. Right? What are the stories of vaccine development? I mean, given the days of Corona, everybody and their uncle knows that there is this thing called a vaccine. Before Corona, nobody even paid attention to vaccines, though you've been vaccinated. You've had knows of vaccines. Everybody knows that there is this thing called vaccine. Boss, this is not easy to develop, but yet we've done it. But what is the story? I mean, what, you know, question I asked Dr. Chirmule during our conversation, right? That's what reading gives you. Reading gives you insight that you never had. Reading opens vistas that you never had. And I'm just going to throw some names, right? I mean, I read this fantastic book this year, and I'm not trying to sound political or anything like that, but I read this fantastic book called,
Your voice is cracking, Subodh. Could you just repeat?
which talks about a Muslim, born a Muslim in this country. No, I read this fantastic book called Born a Muslim.
Okay.
Right? And I mean, that is something that I'm sorry. I'm just gonna move to a place where the signal is better. If the signal
that is the book with Nasir Shah's brother, right? Or is that a different one?
No, it's not. This is a book. No, that's a different book. That was this is a book written by a journalist called Ghazala Wahab.
Oh yes. I saw the book.
It's a journalist called Ghazala Wahab, and it's called Born a Muslim. I mean, that's a part of that cultural connect that I've not experienced in my life. Appreciate that narrative. Or, I mean, like I said, when I read Dr. Chirmule's book, everybody knows about vaccines. But when you read that book, it gives you a chance to get an insight about somebody that's done that for all their lives, to talk about, what they've done. Or the war in Sri Lanka. It's something that you've read in your newspapers. But when you read a journalist who's covered that in great detail, like Saman Subramanian has, and you read his book, then it gives you great insight into what went on during that war in Sri Lanka. I'm biased towards nonfiction, so I'm talking a lot about nonfiction books. Or there was this book called The Forgotten Ambassador in Cairo, which talks about someone called Syed Hussein, who early in the Indian freedom struggle was sent away by Gandhi and Nehru to represent India's interest in such an important part of India's freedom struggle when you look at it in context. But you wouldn't find his name mentioned among what you would call the freedom fighters of India, right?
True.
Or
Very true.
when you read a book about the leopard population in India, read by Sanjay Gubbi, who spent his entire life in the jungles of the Western Ghats tracing the leopards.
Wow.
Every book gives you perspective about something that you don't know. And I think that adds a little piece of the puzzle to who you are. And I think I'm a better person for having known all of these things.
Wow, that is the 4 books that you told are such wildly different. Or that's amazing.
Yeah. I totally enjoyed the names that you took. I'm definitely gonna pick them on a list.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need to do, right? I mean, I don't know what book I'm going to read. And I, as a person with innate scientific curiosity, I think I ought not to know as well. I think I ought to pick up a book, read the back jacket and say, God, this sounds interesting. Let me give it a shot.
Wow.
And if I like it, I will read the book in its entirety. And if I don't, I will put it away.
Awesome. Arya, did you have a question or was it?
Yes, so I just wanted to say that nowadays, like the audio stories which are coming, like I feel that they are the byproducts of these reading books only. Like those who originally ordered these stories first have to read these books very thoroughly. and after that they have to go deep into the characters, and then needs to means orate in such a way that you can imagine, you can go deep each and every part of it. So means you means those who are orating the stories or the audio stories also, they have also got to read the books thoroughly. So I was just adding this one.
Mm, mm.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's where technology becomes a disruptor, right? I mean, when you, I don't know, I come from Tamil Nadu, right? And I can't claim to understand or know the culture of, the different parts of the country where many of you might come from. But in Tamil Nadu, when we were growing up, there was always this tradition of, I would call, religious storytelling, right? Where the storyteller would be part singer, part storyteller, and they would pick these stories from the religious texts, whether it was the Mahabharata or Ramayana or the Puranas or whatever. And they'd be like this sort of an hour and a half. It would be part satsang, part storytelling, part sort of entertainment. And these people were phenomenal scholars. Because, like you rightly pointed out, unless they had read the original text and had the ability to sort of digest the message and interpret it in a certain way that they could then retell it. I mean, the people who are doing these audiobooks, the people who are doing these stories are actually scholars. And as a country, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is something I liked a lot. I also, in addition to books, read long form essays. And there was this long form essay that I was long essay, like a 5,000 word essay that I was reading the other day. It said, as a nation, we've had this sort of tradition of storytelling. And in India, if you look at it, the death of storytelling is what has led to the rise of the novel, which I thought was a very profound statement in a certain way, because we no longer have these sort of close-knit communities. We no longer have this luxury of time where we have the time to sort of sit down as a community, as a group, and listen to a storyteller. We've gone to the novel, we've gone to the book. I mean, that's one of the things I love about the Bangalore Literature Festival. Like the half an hour I spent with Dr. Chirmule and Dr. Parekh, I had a chance to listen to their stories said in their voices, in their sort of prose. And that was very different from the book. And, it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
So this thing of audiobooks and all of that kind of marries these two traditions. And that's where technology becomes a disruptor, because now you can do that and put it up as an audible or as a podcast or as a streaming on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah. Hey, Subodh, a quick time check for you. We are on the top of the hour. Do you have another 5-10 minutes to talk to us?
Sure, surely.
Okay, so Vikram, then Shruti, and then anyone else, and then Shruti is going to do a rapid fire at the end.
Just to add into this, can I say something?
Yes, Agar.
Sir, I have one vision. Like when I was brought up in Jamshedpur, I used to know about the Hindi scholars, okay, Ramdhari Singh Dinkar and all. But when this Audible or other came, I came to know about the West also and East also. So do you think that these audio stories and all those things are communicating the bridge between the different languages? Like if I am comfortable in English or Hindi, they are translating the languages or stories from the other languages and communicating me so that I can know the author's work.
Sorry, I didn't get your name.
So, sir, this is Orgo. Like what I was telling that when we used to be in the school, like I belong to a belt which is basically a Hindi prone area. Okay. So basically what we used to study is about Ramdhari Singh Dinkar and this kind of Hindi authors, prominent authors. But but after the coming of the Audible, we came to know about many more means from different languages, authors from different languages and all those things. Their work were translated into a known language, and they were communicating the bridge between the interlanguage differences between the other authors. So now I know some of the few of the very good works from all over the India. So what is your feel like? A person cannot miss, if I am not good in reading other languages, I can go to a translator and they can let me know these stories. So what is the future in this? Like, how do you see this one?
I think my story is the exact mirror image of yours. I grew up in a urban India where English is my first language. I'm ashamed to say that I don't read my own language as fluently as I do in English. And what you just said is, the exact mirror image of what you said holds true for me. Because today, wonderful works of literature in many, many Indian languages are getting translated to English. And that gives me the ability to sort of experience what I should have experienced as in my own native language. And again, just like how I gave you the example of a few works of nonfiction, I'm going to give you the example of a work of fiction. I read this wonderful book called Alipura. Alipura is a book written by Dr. Gyan Chaturvedi, who is one of India's foremost satirists in the Hindi language. And because of the kind of, I would say, technology and other disruptions that are happening in the world of publishing today, people like Dr. Gyan Chaturvedi are getting translated into English. So me, today, as a South Indian from Tamil Nadu who's living in Bangalore, gets an opportunity to enjoy and understand this word called Bundelkhand. I had to look where Bundelkhand on map. And then when I thought about it, I was like, ooh, Bundelkhand. And India Day and New Sex and all of that, they screamed the word Bundelkhand. Bundelkhand, there were 24 seats and these were the trends, right? But Bundelkhand seems, after reading Dr. Gyan Chaturvedi's, Bundelkhand is a world that I would like to learn more of, because the more and more I read of what is happening in Bundelkhand, it feels so true, because what is true for Bundelkhand is true for the Western Tamil Nadu where I grew up in. So what you're saying is, I think this is where technology and disruptions in technology have made the world smaller for people like you and me. If you grew up in Jamshedpur, reading the works of people written in, a dialect of Hindi or Bangla from that part, and now you are experiencing the world that was written in English about a different part of the world. People like me who grew up reading English writing, that experience. I mean, I knew far more about, England and America from the writing that I read than I did about Bundelkhand. But today, the technology disruptions, whether it's translations or audiobooks or whatever, is helping me fill that gap. And I think we're all better for that. I think technology as a disruptor is great for everyone.
Otherwise, Shruti, why don't you go ahead and ask the question and then we'll come back to Vikram later.
Yes, sir. So I have a question. Like I have never read books. I mean, not even a single book till now. So how will you motivate people like me to read books? I mean, what strategy we should follow? I mean, if you could guide on that, because whenever I
I
start
don't want to
reading,
motivate you.
no, because whenever I try to read, I feel like sleeping. I don't know, I can't help it. But I mean, I just want to develop this skill, but somehow I don't know, I'm not able to develop it.
I think you have nothing to feel bad about. Huh? To start with, let me just say that. I don't think you have anything to feel bad about. Like I said, I was deeply and profoundly moved by this line which said the depth of storytelling is what is sort of created the rise of the novel. Again, today, I think technology as a disruptor has created opportunities for us to listen to people who, for example, otherwise you would have only had to read with. Today, you can go to audiobooks. Listening to an audiobook is almost like listening to a story. You can go and listen to podcasts where you have some wonderful interlocutors who will talk about what they have written into something that you can easily understand. There is absolutely nothing to feel bad about that you don't read books. If that is something that you think you want to do, today there are other vistas that technology has opened up for us.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, today when you're watching a really well-made Netflix serial, there is a writer who's put their written word behind it. And if you've got the sort of innate ability to sort of introspect into what went into that, you've in a sense got the sort of seed of what was written in it. So
Yeah.
I think there is nothing to feel bad about, saying, books make you fall asleep. It's just that format is something that is not, right now at the top of your interest board. But there might be other formats in which you consume that content.
That's a wonderful answer, Subodh. Vikram is having some technical issues, so maybe we can ask him later to ask the question. But in the interest of time, let's ask Raji to do your rapid fire, because it's getting late for everyone. So Raji, are you on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So few quick questions for you, Subodh. So my first question is, describe yourself in 3 words.
Risk taker, is that 2 words or 1?
1 word.
3 words. Three.
No, risk taker is 1 word.
Okay, it's 1 word.
Okay. I'd say 3 words are risk taker. I'd say risk taker. Scientifically curious. And the third thing I would say is student.
Nice.
Okay. Your all-time favorite book?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Your favorite author?
I'm definitely not going to answer that question because there are just so many. And it's like saying, it's like saying what's your favorite food. It's like saying, what's your favorite food. I mean, your favorite food for breakfast might be different from your favorite food for lunch to favorite food for dessert. I mean, corner house vanilla ice cream, dosa, with biryani. I mean, it's just.
Okay.
That's a cheap question.
The current book which you are reading right now. I mean, any book which you are reading right now.
I just finished, like I said, Born a Muslim. I'm probably going to read Alipura again because I want to sort of revisit that book.
Okay. So if given a chance, will you be a writer?
No.
Okay.
I don't have that skill.
Okay. Have you read any religious books like Mahabharata, Ramayana, or any other?
With Desis, boss.
Okay. Who do you admire the most? It can be your role model as well.
Who do I admire most? My all-time hero in my life is my maternal grandmother.
Okay. 3 things you did for marketing your business, be it your speech recognition, wala startup, or be it a bookstore stuff.
Okay, we never marketed our bookstore.
Okay.
3 things that I do to market our speech recognition technologies. Boss, I spent a ton of money on PR I spent a ton of money on going and hiring like a investment banking firm to represent us. And on marketing, so yeah, I hired an investment banking firm to talk about us. We hired a PR firm to talk about us. And yeah, we might, I mean, I don't know what the third thing we did, but yeah, we did these two and both were not very successful.
Okay. Any decision you are regret of?
No.
Okay.
Zilch so far.
Okay. 3 things you do to have a good quality life.
Oh, I spend a ton of time with my family. I am lucky because on a daily basis, I get to sort of meet interesting people. Right? And the third thing, I read a lot.
Okay. Any hidden talent of yours which most people are not aware of?
I might not be aware of it. Hidden talent? I have zero talent. I don't think anything is hidden. Even the ones that are obvious are like waste. No, I don't think I have any hidden talents that I'm aware
of. Then your favorite guest so far in Atta Galatta? Any person who visited Atta Galatta?
See, again, it's difficult because, like I said, one of the things that I've been lucky so far is I've met tons of interesting people. And, I mean, I would say people like, like I use the example, Pratibha Nanda Kumar, a person who came there who was so angry, who's now like I don't know if I should call her an aunt or because, then she might say I made her sound old. But people like that, you meet people who favorite is not a one-way street, right? Favorite is always a two-way street. Favorite is something that happens because the two of you share so much in common, and then the journey becomes something that you share together. And I've had the fortune of having like a few people like that.
Okay. So last 3 questions. The best decision you made in your entire career, which you are really proud of?
Stop doing tech, start a bookstore.
Okay. Who do you consider your biggest competitor in this field?
My wife.
Oh, is it?
She's always criticizing our choices.
Okay. And last question. I mean, 3 qualities a person must have to be successful.
Lifelong student, humility, and an open mind.
Wow.
Wow. Fantastic. Raji,
Thank you, Subodh. Thank you.
Very nice. And yeah, thank you, Subodh. This was, thank you for taking time. I know it's late and all that good stuff, but, and thank you for everyone who joined in. This is like such good discussion in the last hour.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I apologize if at points in time I sounded flippant. That was not the intention.
A network should last a lifetime. Let us help you create lasting professional relationships with our world-class mentors through the Biopatrika Industry Mentorship Program. A strategic guidance program unlike no other, full of expert interviews, industry internship opportunities, CV writing, inflection point analysis, life maps, and of course, the gateway to your dream career. For a limited time only, all our services are freely available for you, as we truly want you to succeed.